Sometimes, the people we overlook end up saving our lives, and sometimes, fate sends us a warning through the most unexpected voice. As the cold wind swept through the marble halls of the Helix Tower, billionaire investor Adrian Volkov was minutes away from signing a deal worth billions, one that would reshape the global energy market. Cameras were flashing, reporters lined the corridor, and bodyguards stood like shadows. But then, a trembling voice whispered from behind the pillars. "Sir, please, don't go in there." It was a young janitor girl, her uniform faded, her face pale with fear. Everyone turned to look at her, guards, journalists, and Adrian himself. "What did you say?" Adrian asked, confused. Her voice cracked. They're speaking Russian. They said, he won't walk out alive. That single sentence changed everything. Adrian Volkov was known across continents as the Iron Billionaire. Ruthless in the boardroom, calm under pressure, and always calculating. Born in Moscow, raised in London, and built his empire in New York, he trusted numbers, not emotions. The meeting he was walking into that morning was critical. Years of negotiations with a foreign energy conglomerate were about to conclude. Billions were at stake. So when a janitor girl interrupted him with what sounded like nonsense, his first reaction was annoyance. The girl's name was Lena Petrova, a recent immigrant from Eastern Europe. She'd been working in the building only 2 weeks. She stood there, clutching her mop, eyes wide and hands shaking. "Sir, please," she insisted, "I was cleaning near the conference room." 2 of the guards, they weren't your men. They spoke Russian. One said, "When he signs, we end it." The head of Adrian's security scoffed. "She's lying, sir. We did full background checks on all guards." But something about her voice, the fear, the urgency, made Adrian pause. "How do you know Russian?" he asked. Lena hesitated. "I was born near Volgograd. I recognize the dialect. They're not security. They're..." Before she could finish, an explosion echoed from the upper floor, just a warning blast, enough to trigger the alarms. Chaos erupted. Adrian's instincts kicked in. He grabbed Lena's hand and ran toward the emergency exit as glass shattered above them. She had been right. The so-called investors were mercenaries. By the time the authorities arrived, the attackers had escaped, but the target was clear. Adrian Volkov. The press called it an assassination attempt. But in private, Adrian couldn't stop thinking about the trembling girl who'd saved him. Who was she, really? 2 days later, Adrian demanded to meet Lena again. She stood in his private office, clutching her cleaning badge as if it were a shield. "You saved my life," he began, studying her face. "But you knew too much." That accent, the words you recognized. "You weren't just a janitor, were you?" Lena's eyes filled with tears. "No, sir. My father, he used to work for the same company that sent those men. He discovered something, illegal weapons trading under the guise of business deals. When he tried to expose them, they killed him. I fled here, changed my name, tried to start over." Adrian leaned back, stunned. The pieces fell into place. The Russian firm that had invited him to the meeting was the same organization her father had exposed. "You knew they'd come for me?" he asked. Lena nodded. "When I heard their accents, I knew they weren't here to talk business." For the first time in years, Adrian felt something beyond control, gratitude, mixed with respect. He offered her a chair. "You risked your life to save mine." "Why?" She hesitated, then said softly, "Because my father always said, if you can stop evil, even once, you must." Adrian turned away, trying to hide the lump in his throat. "You sound more like a leader than I ever was," he whispered. From that day forward, Lena was no longer the janitor. Adrian offered her a position as his personal assistant, overseeing security and ethics for his company. Within months, she became his most trusted advisor, and his closest friend. But the story didn't end there. 6 months later, during another international conference, the same organization resurfaced. This time, Lena stood beside Adrian, not as a servant, but as an equal. She exposed their crimes with undeniable evidence, ensuring they were arrested and their network dismantled. As the press cameras flashed once again, Adrian looked at her and said quietly, "You didn't just save me, Lena. You changed me." she smiled through tears. Sometimes, sir, the smallest voices carry the biggest truths.